instead of following Jeremy around where he's going, I'll introduce our second recipe today. You can tell it's new for me to be here in person. I'm usually on the screen at home, so quite excited. Okay, so our second recipe are turkey meatballs in the lemony kale broth. Sounds delicious, right? So the turkey is an excellent source of good quality lean protein, important for healing, important for building and maintaining muscle, and for today's discussion, also very important in building blood cells and supporting our immune system. So it's rich in vitamin B12, and this vitamin B12, the primary function is to form red blood cells and also helps form white blood cells. So it's a very important nutrient. You find it a bit more easily in your animal food products. You can also find it in some vegetables, but the predominant amount would be from your animal sources and dairy products. The kale will also provide some interest to this recipe, and it provides a healthy dose of vitamin K. So K is usually something that is helpful in blood clotting, which is a function of our platelets. And it also contains vitamin C. So that's enough about the nutrition part. Let's get to the fun part, which is the food.
Beautiful.
The recipe.
Okay, so we're going to start off with these meatballs, these turkey meatballs. We have our ground turkey here, which maybe not the most exciting protein. It tends to get a rap for being a little drier than it is because it is lean. It's very lean, right? So what we want to do, sorry, I'm running off screen. What we want to do is add flavor. We're going to add flavor and we're going to add some texture as well. So I'm going to make a little bit of a mince or a paste to flavor our meatballs, okay? You can do this by hand. Find it easier with a food processor. So I'm going to use a food processor. You can probably do this in a blender with a larger base as well. That would work. So we're adding some herbs. You can add whatever you want. Mint, parsley, basil. Got some parsley here. And what I love, again, because I have the food processor, I don't have to muck around with the prep. Just throw it all in there. Just tear it so that it fits a little bit better, but otherwise you throw it all in. About half a cup or so. Again, it's you just want to make a nice paste, so you can change the proportions up a little bit, and you can also obviously change the aromatics as well. I've got a giant clove of garlic. No, it's okay. There we go. Giant clove of garlic. That's going in. About a tablespoon-ish of fresh ginger. That's going in. And we're adding a little bit of some walnuts. This is going to add some fat.
Yes,
right?
some healthy fats, some vitamin E.
Also a little bit of texture. And because I'm adding breadcrumbs to this will sort of kind of act like that breadcrumb a little bit. It'll help to bind everything together. So no breadcrumbs in this meatball mixture. I'm not adding an egg either, which you can add. It's optional, but we're just going to go in with the...
So no breadcrumbs. Then that'll be, good for people who are sensitive to gluten.
Yeah, absolutely. Some ground turmeric, about half a teaspoon ground turmeric. And then we're going to add some scallions or green onion. What I like to do is the bottom part of the scallion, I'm going to save as a garnish for the soup. And then, so we'll save that part. So you can slice that up. These are also perfect in not only the spring, but summertime as well. Okay, so we'll save these green tops. Or sorry, not the tops, the bottoms, the whites. And then for the green part of the scallion, I'm just going to cut it into big chunks, and that's all going to go in as well. To this, we're going to add a little bit of olive oil, like about a tablespoon or so. I just want to help it
I do like the container you use for olive oil. It really helps to control the amount a little bit.
Yes. All right. This way. And that's it. And we're going to pulse this all together. And hopefully it's not too loud. So I just want to break it down. It doesn't have to be like smooth, but it should resemble almost like a coarse pesto because of the walnuts, especially, and the aroma. You should definitely get the ginger and the garlic.
Oh,
There you go.
got a whiff of it right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. If you need to add a little bit more olive oil to help make it turn, you can do that. Otherwise, just scrape down the sides.
And it was a good whiff, I should say.
Yeah,
I
reaction.
probably should clarify that. I know. No, it was an excellent whiff, but I don't think it's reaching the audience just yet.
All right. So that's what we're looking for. This wonderful mixture. You just don't want to get caught with like a giant chunk of garlic or ginger in your meatball. So break it down so that it's like a rough paste. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. And we're going to add all of this to our minced turkey.
Yeah, the turmeric, the garlic, the olive oil, fresh olive oil, and is it parsley?
Parsley, yes.
Parsley definitely will increase the flavor and moisture of the turkey. Excellent.
And then the thing I forgot to add to this piece, but I can add at this point as well, is just a little salt and pepper. Especially when you're making meatballs, you want to season the inside. But because I have all these other incredible aromatics, I don't need to add a ton. So.
I like the addition of black pepper though, because it's one of our other power couples. So you heard that Jeremy added the turmeric to this, and turmeric contains curcumin. It has several health protective functions. One of them being that it has anti-inflammatory properties. And by adding the black pepper, the piperine, which is the active ingredient in the black pepper, helps us absorb 2,000% more. Yes, I said 2,000% more of the curcumin from the turmeric. So it's a pretty cool power couple. It's another one of our favorites.
Unbelievable. Full of power couples.
Yes.
All right.
Feel free to let us know what your power couples are.
Yeah.
Food related. Well, it doesn't have to be food related. Yeah.
We're just flooded with responses. All right. So going in to our mince, and wash your hands well. This is best done by hand. So the key with meatballs, anytime we're working with a minced product, is I don't want to overwork it. Now I know I'm trying to make sure that the mint or the paste here, the flavorful paste, is evenly distributed, but we don't want to overwork it. Otherwise, it will become tough. So made its way in. Simultaneously turn on. And while I'm doing this, actually, see, this is why it's amazing that Daniela's here.
Did you forget something?
Can you
want me
put
to do
some
something?
olive oil in
Okay.
my pot here, please?
Oh, in your pot?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And while you're doing that,
How much?
go about for like a tablespoon.
He thinks I know what it takes.
Maybe a little bit more.
Okay. Thank
Tablespoon
you.
and a half. Perfect. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Now I'm sous chef.
Thank you, chef.
Anything else?
That's everything,
Okay.
chef. Thank you. All right, so we're rolling the meatballs
Beautiful.
to about a golf ball size, and try to keep them consistent. If you put a little bit of olive oil on your hands, it
Yeah.
actually helps.
Yes,
prevent
that's
them
something
from
my mom
sticking.
used to tell me too. But my mom would be really impressed at how perfect your
We'll see by the end of
meatballs
it.
are.
It's always
Yeah.
the first
It's
couple,
the
and
first
then
few.
it starts to go a little wacky, but we're good there. So we're gonna roll these out. I'll roll a few of them up. I'm not gonna do all of them, but
Mhm.
we'll roll a few of them.
So I like that we're using turkey, and Jeremy has helped to make it moister and more flavorful for us. But turkey, we're talking about blood building nutrients, and we're looking at about 3 ounces of ground turkey actually provides about 24 grams of protein. So that's a significant amount. And along with that, about a third of a requirement for vitamin B12. And it too contains selenium that we talked about previously as being something that can support our immune system and support our blood cells, and zinc. Zinc is a new one I haven't mentioned yet. And zinc, there's about 12% of our daily value of zinc in the turkey, and it's a trace mineral, and it's important for immune function, for thyroid health. So yeah, now we've talked about B12, we've talked about iron, folate, selenium, zinc, copper. Okay. I guess I'm just testing myself, but the audience is nodding, so I must be remembering all of the nutrients.
Working with raw meat.
Yes.
As I say this with my back turned to you, I apologize. Make sure you clean your hand well after working with it. Food safety.
Yes.
Right, 101.
Yes. Food safety, I mentioned it at the beginning, we would be touching upon that because if your white blood cell count is low, then you're more prone to infection. So although food safety is important for all of us, it's super important if your blood counts are low, especially your white blood cell count.
Yes. Okay. So I'm adding this directly to the pot. If you have a lot, you're making a lot of these meatballs. Like this recipe, a pound of the ground meat, which is like about 450 grams, it'll yield about 16 to 18 meatballs. So if you're making a lot of them, or if you like want to double up this recipe, which I think is fantastic for these meatballs because they freeze really well, and now you're setting yourself up with some of these little meals or snacks for those days that you just don't have the time or energy to cook.
Definitely.
So you can even batch this up, which is fantastic. I'm cooking it directly in the pot. You can do this in the oven as well. So in the oven, 425 for about 5 minutes per side. We're going to finish it in the broth. It's going to cook the rest of the way in there. But just making sure that they are fully cooked, obviously, before you serve them.
If you put them in the oven, do you put it on your ever famous parchment paper, or do you add a little bit of oil, or how do you do that?
Yeah, parchment paper is, I think, just works the best. And you don't need to add extra oil unless you wanted to, just to get that browning, that caramelization. But otherwise, you can, if you're going to use foil or if you're going to put it right onto the pan, yeah, maybe grease it up a little bit with olive oil or another neutral oil so it doesn't stick. All right.
I have to go take a look. Okay. It looks awesome. I guess we can't really get a picture of it over here. Sorry.
No,
I'll
you're
go
good.
back to my post.
Checking in. All right, so let me see if I can tilt it a bit.
There we go. Yeah.
Right.
Beautiful.
You want to get a little bit of color. I'm going to flip them. I'll show you actually that's a really nice color. So, again.
I also like that you're using the tongs, that you get more control in the flip.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially because you're working, like I'm using medium heat, I think works best for this. But you have hot oil here. Okay, so let me see. So, see that color? You can see it in the video. Nice crust. Okay, so that's what you're looking for. About a couple minutes per side. And then make sure it doesn't stick. I'll release the bottom. And then once you do that, we're going to go in with our broth. I like adding it directly to this. That way it slowly cooks in. The broth slowly cooks in with the meatballs and the turkey, so you're getting a little more flavor
moisture
and a little bit more moisture added. Yeah.
Great.
Again, because the turkey tends to be drier, cooking in the broth is actually really helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and add that in. Just be careful. Oil's hot. You don't want it to splash back. Try not to do it too slowly because with a little bit of liquid, a little bit of water with the hot fat, you're going to get more splash back versus if I do it all at once. So just try to put it all in because it'll cool it down faster. Vanilla is in a safe spot. And you can use, this is a veg broth, but you can obviously use chicken broth, use any other broth. And we're going to go directly in. Right? I'm going a little bit lower. No. Pouring a little bit lower. I don't want to pour from up here.
No, yes, okay.
Pouring a little bit lower.
And slowly.
Shake. Yeah. And then released, which is nice. And if you have a little bit of that sort of those little brown pieces, that caramelization on the bottom of the pan, don't discard that. That is flavor. It's going to be delicious. You can just use like a wooden spoon, or if you're using a metal pot, use a metal spoon, and just scrape that off. So we have, without spilling it everywhere, I'm going to do my best to tilt. Yeah, it's going to be hard to see, but we have our broth in there, and we're going to bring that to a simmer, and we're going to cook that the rest of the way through. So once the meatballs are cooked, you can temp them. Looking for 165 internal temperature.
Temp them? You mean with your thermometer?
Yes, sorry, jargon, yeah.
Yeah.
Food thermometer in the middle. And then we're going to finish with, and I'm going to add it now just to keep, speed things up, but we're going to finish with our greens. We're using kale.
Yeah. Excellent, yes.
And I'm also using some lemon peels. This is going to be a very lemony and very summery broth. So I've just peeled lemon. Take away any of, and I'll show you actually here. This is coming up to a simmer. So just carefully use a smaller knife, maybe like a paring knife. Be a little bit easier. You can even use like a vegetable peeler and just peel off a strip. Wash the lemon really well of your lemon. You may have some of the inside, that white membrane attached to it. That is going to make everything bitter. So just carefully remove that piece so that you just have just the yellow part, just a nice piece of the yellow part. This is where all of the essential oils of the lemon are going to be intact. Super aromatic, super flavorful. You can throw this in your water. It will be amazing. You can give yourself a squirt if you want. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just going to give
citron,
yeah.
I guess.
Give them a little squeeze and then right in the broth. And then the longer you cook it, it's going to get more lemony. If you go too much with the lemon peel, it's going to start to get a little bitter. Mm-hmm. So if you have it on the stove top for a while, you only have to cook it, let's say 10 minutes just for the meatballs to cook through all the way. But if you're going longer than that, taste it. If it starts to get bitter, you can just greens go in.
I love the kale. I mean, it's been one of our superfoods that we've been talking about. But it actually falls between a dark leafy green and a cruciferous vegetable. And so it actually brings in both of the phytonutrient profiles. Phytonutrient being just a fancy way of saying nutrients you find in plants. But, trying to look smart here. And vitamin K. So actually kale is another one that is high in vitamin K. 68% of our daily value in just 1 cup. What I will say about that, though, is that if you're on blood thinners, if you're on warfarin or Coumadin, you may not want to overdo it on the kale, and you may want to talk to your healthcare team because sometimes you need to monitor your vitamin K intake, especially if you're on blood thinners. But if you're not, enjoy as much as you want.
Beautiful. All right, so let that simmer till the meatballs are cooked through. The kale is nice and wilted, and then finish with a lot of lemon juice. Do it to taste. I guess you don't have to overdo it with lemon juice. I think it works really well with a lot of lemon juice. And I've got a plate here.
See, he's got a big pot on
Big pot for all of our guests today. Nice squeeze of
One
lemon.
meatball per person, you think? I don't know. Will we have enough?
We'll see. All right, we're gonna plate. And again, it's a soup, right? Soup. I think we automatically think of the colder months, but I think with this the lemon and the greens and the kale, this is actually perfect for the summer as well.
And you're getting some hydration. You're getting some hydration from it too.
Yes, exactly. I love that tip. It doesn't have to just be your 8-liter jug of water that everyone
Yes.
carries
Although
around.
I'm trying very hard, as you can see, to drink my water.
There you go.
I'll take a sip while we're waiting.
So, plated. Do a little tilt there. It's always hard to show the soup. And then we'll finish it again with those fresh green onions or scallions.
I guess Parmesan would go on this. I don't know, I always think of soup. Did I say Parmesan? Jeez.
Parmesan whisper. You're the Parmesan whisper.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely. This, I think, is the perfect spot. Again, a little bit goes a long way. I love sharp cheeses. The Parmigiano here is going to really just accentuate all the other flavors. Perfect little bit of pop. So you read my mind.
Yeah, but you can't tell what our background is, can you? Not at all.
It's like, this needs something. Olive oil or Parmesan cheese?
Oh, maybe a little
Right.
bit of both.
Yeah.
If you need more
Half the
calories, enjoy a drizzle of the olive oil on top of that.
Absolutely. But there we go.